Hey guys, Chrono, and today I'm bringing to you a new video where we focus on 2019 as a whole. There's a lot that happened this year, and so we're going to focus on the good, the bad, and the in-between for Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2019. Let's start with the good first. There were so many good things that happened to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game in 2019. 2019 might be best known as the year of the reprint for Yu-Gi-Oh! There were so many different reprints that helps the common player out in so many different ways. Thanks to sets like Dual Power and Dual Devastator, but just in general for the year, if you go through each set, there were so many different reprints that help so many different players with the decks they're playing. That is a step in the right direction for Konami, because by reprinting these cards, it makes them cheaper, which makes everybody get more involved. It was an awesome year for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player if you were looking to play the game more affordably. One of the other great things about 2019 were the structure decks that were released. We had 3 really good structure decks that were paced throughout the year. In February, you had Soul Burner. Awesome deck playing Salamangreats. Then in April, early May, you had the Spellcaster structure deck for Pendulum players. And then in August, I believe, you had the Rocket structure deck. Those are 3 excellent decks that many people combined 3 and they had something very playable, something that they could really do some damage with. Especially Soul Burner. I mean, if you had 3 of those, you were good to go. You could make a tier 1 deck with that. And it's great because, again, that's easy on the budgets for lots of different players. Something else that I think that's really great that Konami's done is updating the age limit for all kids who can participate in the Dragon Duel. I'm really excited about this because last year I got to take my 2 sons to the National Dragon Duel, and it was extremely fun. And I thought to myself, man, this stinks that my oldest, gets 1 more year at this. And now to know that he has 2, I think is great, especially considering these kids already play plenty of adults when they go to locals. In fact, that's why we started a kid local where I'm at, because we found that we were just playing people who are older. And I think it's better when kids can actually play with other kids. So kudos to Konami. That's definitely a step in the right direction as well. The final thing that I think that went well for Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2019 was the variety of decks that players can actually play. I mean, of course, you had your main 4, like Orcus and Sky Striker, Thunder Dragon, Salamangreat, but you also had Cyber Dragon, and you also had Dinosaurs. You also had True Draco. You also had Mystic Mind Burn. And so there's lots of different decks that players were able to play, and that just leads to a very rich, diverse format, which means more enjoyment for all the different players out there. Okay, so those are the good things that happened to Yu-Gi-Oh! Last year. Let's go ahead and focus on, unfortunately, some of the bad things that happened. And the first thing that comes to mind for me are the time rules. Konami, I understand why they're there, but they really have to be changed. At least allow the person to finish their turn. And the reason I say that is because there are too many people I've talked with when a tournament's done, and then they'll tell me, yeah, I was kind of stalling for time there because I knew that I had the game if I was just able to wait out the time. That's not very fair. I feel that stinks for everyone involved because you've got one player knowing they're cheating the system, and then you've got another player who is extremely angry that they didn't get a chance to finish their plays. So I just don't think that's the way to go, and I think it needs to be changed. Let people finish their turn. Another thing that I think Konami is doing very poorly is getting the information out about Dragon Duels. I mean, these are free events that Konami is willing to put on for kids, and they don't know that it's there. You'd have to be a heavily invested parent to know about these events. And I think that if they got the word out more effectively by putting it at the end of TV shows asking Yugi-tubers to put it in their videos, they'd see a much higher rate of kids coming out to these events, which would be awesome because it's going to grow the game. So that's another thing that I think Konami really needs to address soon. Now, they do have an actual dedicated parent side on their website, but I don't think that's enough. And here's the reason why. If this was working, just putting the information out on a website, then I think you'd actually see more kids showing up to these events, and they're not, unless a dedicated person is bringing them that knows the information. So they've got to do a better job getting that out there for people. Okay, so that was it for my main complaints that I think Konami did poorly in 2019. Now let's go ahead and talk about the in-betweens. So the first thing that I'm in between on is the sets that were released in 2019. Now I know I just praised all the reprints. Those were fantastic. But when it came to new archetypes to play, there wasn't really anything out there that I feel like we got that could compete in the current meta and be at least even a tier 2 deck. That was very disappointing to me. And I think going forward, Konami, would be great if you do what you just did this last year with reprints, but you also give us new, fun, interesting archetypes to play that we can get excited about. The next thing that I'm also very in between on, and this one's going to cause some controversy, is the Master 5 rule. Now, I think it's great for all the older decks. However, it's kind of like asking why we don't put Pot of Greed in the older decks, because then that means the newer decks have the same tools, right? Which would just make those decks even better. And I really think that's what we're going to be looking at here going forward, is that by having the Master Rule 5, there is a very good chance we're just going to make the new decks that have been established under Master Rule 4 even better. And the first thing that comes to my mind is Thunder Dragons. Oh my goodness. This deck is already super difficult to face. And the fact that it's not going to need an extra monster zone for the fusion, I really think one of two things are going to happen here with the new ban list coming up here soon. One, they're going to outright ban quite a bit of the Thunder Dragon cards just so that doesn't happen. Or two, they're going to let it go, and then they're going to have an emergency ban list. Because I just have a feeling that deck is going to be nuts to face under this Master 5 rule. I've also already been seeing some pendulum builds that are going absolutely crazy with this new rule. So I am just not sure if this is the best way to move forward. Time will definitely tell. So that's definitely something that I'm in between on. Now I know that's not technically 2019 because it's coming out in 2020. But that is something I'm thinking about moving forward here because it was announced in 2019. Okay, so now for my final in-between moment for Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2019, and it deals with the Nintendo Switch version of Legacy of the Duelist. Now, the game plays very well. It includes Link summoning, so I was really excited to have an updated version of the game. But my problem is that it plays like all the previous games before it, where if you own the PlayStation 4 version or Xbox 360 version, you had to grind through story mode. You had to collect all the cards. It takes forever for you to get all the cards you want to make a decent deck. And so that's really frustrating when there's other options like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro or Dueling Nexus where they let you assemble the deck you want immediately and then you can go online and face other people. Konami, this is definitely something moving forward. Please fix this for when we want to go online and verse other people. So guys, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know what you're thinking or what you thought about 2019 for Yu-Gi-Oh! Was there anything in my list I forgot, good or bad or in between? Please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. I always appreciate that. and I'll see you guys next time.
Wait for your next challenge. I know that you beat